Stash 720 is a fast investing stock market game where you use power cards to make smart investments and stop your opponents making theirs. It's got all the excitement of blackjack. I know I spent a lot of time when I was younger playing blackjack in the common room or at school, and I think Stash 720 surpasses that, or at least the feeling of playing blackjack anyway. This is a game of risk and reward. You get to understand financial terms. It lasts around 15 minutes each game, and it helps broaden your knowledge of the stock market. I want everyone around me to be financially literate and to be an investor and not just a consumer. And I think this game helps with that. I'd love you to check it out. Stash720.com.
Hello.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Good to hear. Good to hear.
How are you?
I'm very well, Krystle.
Good.
Very well. So, first question, first thing first. What do you do? What do you do for money?
What do I do for money?
Yep.
A lot of things. I like diversifying.
Okay.
So, like we just spoke about, actually, property. So, rental income.
Yeah. Do you like that? Do you enjoy?
Yeah, it's nice. I like the passiveness of it.
So do I.
Except for when things go wrong.
Of course.
I had one of our properties floods kind of almost every year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that because of the location?
The building, it's council, it's a flat roof, it's a thing.
Flat roof.
Yeah.
I've been told to stay away from flat roofs.
Do. Yeah. So property. I also, through my company, Mind Over Money, do financial well-being.
Yes.
Financial decision making for business. What else do I do for money? I work with individuals, so I support founders as well with their business finance and personal finance. Love that.
Yep.
Love changing.
Which you like the best? Which is your most favourite, and why?
Most exciting, I think, is business finance. Supporting people with their business finance.
Okay.
Most fulfilling is the personal finance side.
Okay. Yes, I get that. I would understand why that would be.
Yeah, and especially because how I work, I think it's quite different to a lot of people. As you know, I focus on the psychology part first. And that's when I see the most exciting transformation.
Of course.
Like, it's people, Yeah, and I'm sure we'll go into it, so...
Yeah, that is cool. I guess that's exciting. I think anything where you're seeing someone grow and develop and you're a part, exactly. And you're a part of that. You're part of that growth. That's got to be exciting.
Yeah.
You know, it's got to be the most fulfilling. And I think any job like that. I've always like envied teachers in a way. Do you mean good teachers, nice teachers? You know, I think a lot of people. Well, I would like to think there's some people that had lucky enough to have a good teacher in your life, and it's nice because they can change your life. Just having a nice teacher around.
It's a thing with teachers, and every now and then when I hear a story about a bad teacher, and it actually makes me so angry, like I feel the anger. And I think because I started teaching maths privately when I was 18, and I still do it here and there, because it's fun. I think I just love seeing people get excited about finance and money and maths. But when I hear bad stories about teachers that have spoken so negatively to people about, you can't do this, and the teachers are in such a powerful position, so influential.
100%, yeah.
So on one hand, they can be so inspiring. I had a maths teacher in year 9 who, started my journey in love of maths and finance, but
yeah, you can get kind of some like bad apples type thing, and I've had it like as well. And when you kind of look back, for me, there's been different situations where teachers could have done better. You didn't, and all they had to do is kind of change their words, and that means the world to a child. And I don't think sometimes they understand how powerful their words are, and sometimes because they're influenced to the people around them and society around them, they can treat kids like me. I was in like a pretty much predominantly white school.
Yeah.
They might treat me the way that they think society should treat me, or the way that the rest of society treats me. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, sometimes you can get some bad apples that say some stupid stuff. Like, and it's like, you probably didn't need to say that. But then the funny thing with that, there's a reverse. For some and it's for some people will take the negative and then turn that into a positive. You can't tell me what to do, and that's me. You're never telling me what to do. Your words.
Did you have
no
that
way.
when you was a child though?
What's that?
Nah, I'm not listening to you. I don't care what you say.
Did I have that? You have to ask my mum. I don't know. Did I have that always? Was that always a part of me? I don't know. I'm not sure if that was. It must have been. It must be. Isn't that something that we have? It's not something you. Is that something you learn? Is that nurture or nature? What?
Oh, big question. I don't know, but I didn't have it. That wasn't me. And I
Do you have it now?
Yeah.
There you
yeah.
go. Okay.
Even now.
Okay, so you can then. So you can.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah,
good,
you can.
Yeah.
Good example.
Thanks.
You.
I've never thought about that before. But yeah. Do you know what? It's because I see some young kids, like young little pipsqueaks, and there's the power in them is just so beautiful, and I'm like. And you can see, and usually, you know, when you see the parents, you can see where that comes from. You know, the parent has installed in them such confidence in who they are, especially when it comes to being black as well.
So
you know, the young kids that are proud of their hair, proud of their skin colour. It's like, yeah, that's what we want. But a lot, you know, there's lots that don't have that. Like I didn't have that when I was young. So yeah, yes, it can.
But your parents are important. Are super important. Like if they, that's one thing I think my mum did give me was like, oh yeah, you can do whatever. Like yeah, go for it. Like why not? Like that type of thing, and that does help. Just telling someone, if you tell someone something enough, they'll believe it, and regardless of what it is. And I think probably someone that we've seen in the media do that. I think if you look at the relationship between Kanye West and his mother, she seemed like the person that was just like, oh, you can do this, you're great. Like calling him the Michael Jordan of whatever he's doing. Do you know what I mean? Like it changes a kid's brain. Also, if you tell a kid you're stupid, you're a little moron, you're an idiot, that's exactly what you know what I mean? The man who thinks he can and the man who thinks he can't, are they both right?
Exactly the same.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. Okay, so tell me a bit more about your upbringing, your schooling. What did you? How were you in school? How were you as like a teenager? And going from that to higher education. You did a higher education. Tell me a little bit about your teenage age. Yeah.
So at school, I kind of had to start with single parent home. I had a younger brother, and I was. I've spoken about this recently because I was recently diagnosed with ADHD and dyslexia, just as a grown woman. And I just because it links in. People ask, you know, with ADHD, how are you good at finance? That's not a common combination. So going back to how I was raised, so I think single parent home, something called adultification, where you are given the responsibility to be an adult in the home before your time, and that's quite common in that dynamic. So I took on the responsibility to make sure the house was tidy. I'd cook dinner, and you know, when I was old enough to use the kitchen, sure, but I had that responsibility early on. And it was important to make sure everything was in a good way for my mum. That included my schooling. So I made sure that I was ace.
That's interesting.
So I was a good kid. A very good kid at school. I came home, I was excited to do my homework, excited to impress my mum. And she made it clear from very early on that she didn't even realise. She didn't realise that she was advocating for a young black girl to go into STEM. She didn't realise that. But my mum always said, science and maths, Krystle. Yeah. So I was like, okay, mummy. So that's what I did. And then, you know, combined, like I said just now, a teacher in year 9 who was like, you've got something there with maths. And I was like, have I? And then I took off. So, you know, I went through school. I love drama. I love graphic design. I love art. So I draw now. I don't know if you've come across my art page.
I've seen your drawings. They're great.
Yes.
They're very good.
Thank you. So when I left school, I was like, Mum, I like drama, but I'm good at maths. I mean, I'm good at drama, but I like maths. I was like, what should I do? She was like, yeah, maths. That's where the money is. So again, I'm being reinforced by my mum from being young and wanting to please her in a really strong emotive way, because I could see that the home was somewhat unstable because of my father. So I pursued maths, did finance at university, and continued. You know, I said I was not going to do accountancy.
What uni did you go?
London Metropolitan. So I didn't do very well at my A-levels.
Okay.
Distracted by, I distracted by? I think I had a boyfriend at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't paying attention. Yeah, and London Met was the only people that would have me. I think.
So how did you get into? So you went. Did you get the good grades? Did you get good enough grades to get into the
London
the
Met,
thingy?
yeah. I
London
didn't go
Met?
through clearing. Yeah,
Didn't go through clearing.
No.
And one thing about what you said, which was interesting, it reminded me of myself, is that I was similar to that.
Really?
So I was one of the eldest and had to look after. So it was like at the time there was 3 of us. My mum had 6 in the end, but there's 3 of us, and I'm one of the eldest of the 3. So having to look after the younger one and please your mum. But that didn't translate to schoolwork for some reason.
Did it not?
No, because I just didn't apply myself in that way, or didn't understand how to apply myself in that way.
What
But I
was
was still good at school.
But what was important to
Still good
her? What did she scream about for you?
But that's probably what it was. It wasn't come and give me an A star. It was be a good person.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I was a good person, I guess.
And that might be it, because my mum
Yeah.
made it very clear that school, you're going to university. She was on that. Not really understanding that space, because she didn't go to university herself.
Okay.
You know, she went off and dropped out of school and went and did hairdressing.
Mm-hmm.
But she was very clear that, no, you're going to go and do science or maths. So I think that's where that emotional attachment comes from. That's the thing with ADHD as well. You're driven by emotion.
Okay.
So that's where I've made the connection, where I think that's why I'm good at finance, because there's an emotional pull for me to be good at finance.
Right. Okay.
So yeah,
So my mum did do that in a way. She did say, "Oh, you could do technology and do this," and she was pushing me to do certain things and not go to the locals. Not really. She was, "Oh, you're good at this," and kind of pushing towards like tech, that type of thing, which was good. And that, I can definitely see like the similarities and why she did that. But she also went to university, and that probably for me that was the biggest thing. Her going to university, because when she went to university. And then she had 6 kids at the time. I was with no kids and young. I was like, I can do that.
Wait, she went to uni when she had 6 kids?
When she had 6 children. She did an open university course. Yeah, that's how she started. Doing it at home. Like 6 years for a degree.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, mum can do that. Then I definitely can do that. Do you know what I mean? And that's kind of following her footsteps. So that's like, it just comes down to, it is important what you see and what you're around. And you kind of become what you kind of see and what was around you. Okay, so you went to university. You took out a loan for university.
I did.
And was it a big loan? Are you still paying it?
And that's a really interesting question, actually. So I went to London Met, which, if anyone's listening, knows is in North London. I lived in North London. I lived down the road from London Met. I had a car.
Okay.
I lived at home.
Yep.
I had a job too.
Okay.
I think I always had 2 jobs up until, I technically got several now, but yeah, I've always had more than one job.
Yeah.
So picture that, yeah? My university's down the road. I live with my mother. Part of the reason I went to a local uni is because mum wanted me to stay at home. Again, single parent home, we're very close. It's kind of, I didn't need any money. And the time that I went to university, my tuition fees were paid for because of the income of my mum. So I did not need anything. I took out everything. Loan, grant, and I was quite savvy. I applied for all the extra fundings I could get from everywhere. I was going crazy. All the extra scholarships, £1 here, a grand here, like I was on it. But the point I'm making is, I actually didn't know what I was doing. So when I took out the loan, I didn't know I didn't need to. I didn't know that my tuition was paid for until years later, as in I'm working, I've finished uni, university is not even a thought. And I think I was looking up something and I realised that actually I didn't pay for my university, like it was paid for. That's ridiculous.
Of course
Hold
it's ridiculous.
On. So I was given a loan
Yes.
thinking that I needed a loan to pay for me to get to university, and I didn't. Actually, my loan was just for me to go to Miami, which I did, and travelled and paid for my car and all kinds of craziness. Although I had 2 jobs and I was earning, so I was swimming in money that I just blew. No, I'm not paying off my loan anymore. That was paid off many years ago.
Very good. Very well. Very good. One of the reasons why I'm not reacting, it may be the way that someone would react when you tell someone that information, because I did the same thing.
High five. Which is not really a high five.
Not really a high
but
five.
it's like,
Not really, but I get it.
It's terrible.
And that's kind of why I wanted to talk about it, because I think I've heard you talk about it before.
Yeah.
Just to, because the whole point of this is to talk about money and stuff that
yeah,
we
of course.
do with money,
Yeah.
and that was one of the one of the blunders I made as a young person, having my tuition paid for, which they don't really do now anymore, and then them giving me nearly a £10,000 loan for me to buy Pradas, Averex, and a car.
And not property, which
No,
I
exactly.
then later
That'd have been great.
People did that.
That'd have been great. But then this is the whole point of why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Is so we can have these conversations. The more conversations that we have, the more that we're aware of. Oh, 1 minute, you could take that money and do something smart with it, or you could take something and take the money and do something dumb with it.
Yeah.
But it's just knowing, just having the knowledge, and realizing that don't just take the money. Like, you're gonna have to pay it back at some point. You're gonna have to pay it back. They made it sound as if it was interest free as well. You're not gonna have to pay it back for this.
It was just so easy, and it was the norm. Like with anything, if something's the norm and everyone's doing it, you just follow suit and do the same.
That's it.
There wasn't enough education and communication about what was actually going on. What were we doing? I don't remember going to any kind of workshop or webinar or talk or anything about it.
Zero.
To know what I was doing. It was just, you click here, apply for it. Get your money. Yeah. I didn't need it.
Yeah, me neither. And I think that's one thing that they should do. They probably won't, because it helps them to not do that. Yeah. But I would like to be vocal in some way, shape or form at some point. It's just educating people a little bit of, like, student loans. You don't always need them. You don't always need so much. But when a kid has had no money, and I came from a place where I didn't have any money, and then someone's going to give you all this money, and you don't have to pay it back for ages. There's no interest. You're not. Do you mean? Well, I'm going to take it, and no money to £10,000. Yeah, I'm going to take it, and So, it just needs to be a little bit more education around that, because
I just want to pick up on your point about. I think you said they don't want to educate people so that they don't take out these loans or are smarter with it. And just I mentioned it to someone the other day, and I should talk about it more. So obviously we haven't got into my later studies, but I've just finished a master's, and one of the studies we looked at was trying to get people to be better with their credit cards and pay off better, and pay off sooner, not just pay the minimum, And there was a study that was done. I'd love to find the name or whatever, and I haven't looked back. But they did a study basically with, I think it was a couple of credit cards, or one, I can't remember. But basically, so behavioural science, right? Which is basically understanding the motivations behind what people do. So they created a system that encouraged people to pay more on their credit card. Okay. The crux of it is that it worked. So people were paying off their credit cards quicker, which means paying less interest. Yeah. One of the banks that were participating cancelled the study. Ooh. Because people were paying off their credit cards and were not paying as much interest.
That says a lot, doesn't it?
So a lot of people talk about this, and some people are like, oh, conspiracy, you're just saying that. It's a real thing. Yeah. That's how institutions make money, right?
Yeah. But why would they why would they be a part of? It's like
reducing their income.
Yeah. It's like having a business, any business that you work, wherever you work, and then they're going to say, oh, well, this is how you make your money. Do something to make less money. What is counterintuitive? Why would they do it? It doesn't make sense. But we're in the information age. Yeah. And the information just needs to be out there in a way that's digestible, that's understandable. And I want to be a part of that. That's what I want to be a part of, helping people, because I was in a position where I didn't know anything about anything. And name me one person who hasn't spent any money, like over the age of, I don't know, 10 or whatever, that hasn't spent money. Yeah. How much money have you spent today? Yeah. You leave your house. If I leave my house, I'm spending money.
That's it, done.
That's it. Like, my oyster's costing money, my Uber's costing money, my car or whatever it is costing me money, and that's just me leaving the house, not doing whatever I'm going to do. So you need to have an idea about it, at least some sort of class or something. Yeah. And they don't have that, so, we'll try and figure that out, though, because we're in that position. We're in a position where we can share information, and like shared knowledge and shared information is like such a big thing now. Why we're not using it to like better ourselves. So that's what I want. I've read somewhere that personal finance is 20% knowledge and like 80% behavioral. Can you tell me some negatives and positive behaviors that you come across?
that people have in terms of their money and money management and that kind of
That's
thing.
correct, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so if we go back to kind of psychology and just the human, because that's where it starts, right? I think with that quote, what we need to understand is money is a man-made construct, right? So it's just another thing. Whereas when we look at psychology, it's not a man-made construct. It's how we feel. It's how our brain is wired. It's, you know, cognitively. It's the fact that we are social beings. So we want to connect and fit in. So if I start there, for example, naturally we want to connect and feel part of a herd, a group, right?
Always.
We want to connect with our peers. Yeah.
That helps us.
Exactly. We have cults, we have religions, we have, you know, everybody who likes, I don't know, a certain football team, whatever.
Yeah.
All these things that make us fit in. So that on a negative is we will then need or feel compelled to do things to fit in, which might include spending money on things to signal
Oh, yes.
to signal to our peers that we're part of this clique, basically. You know, a one maybe relatable might be a certain style of trainer or a certain designer brand that says, hey, this is my social status, this is where I rank, you know, and that's really important for us as humans. And where that can become a problem is where that becomes so important that you're struggling financially. And it's funny, just as a slight tangent, I was talking to someone the other day about why talking about money is so taboo. And part of that, I think, could also be because if you talk about your money and your real situation, and if that contrasts severely with what you're signalling to your peers, that's a problem.
Yeah.
As we know, there are lots of people who may be listening to this, understandably, who are buying certain things, cars, etc., paying, you know, quite significant down payments every month, but they're really struggling in the background. So as one example.
But they look nice doing it.
But they look great. Yeah.
They look nice with the car and the clothes. But it goes further. Well, I've read things that what's the book called? Something to do with the caveman mindset. Something to do with that.
Okay.
And being a part of a herd is so important to us that previously we had to be in groups. We had to be in tribes. And if you wasn't in the tribe, you would die. Yeah. That's it. If you weren't part of this, you would die. And that is what that is connected to. If you're not a part of what we're doing, you're going to die.
Yeah.
You're not, by the way. If you don't buy the Jordans, if you don't buy, do you know what I mean? The New Balance, if you don't buy the whatever, you're not going to die.
But what's so understandable about it, and this is where... do you know what, it's so right that this is my space because I literally get so passionate, like fire, because there are some that talk about those people that make those decisions, right, in the most negative way. Like, you're an idiot, why are you buying those trainers when you can't, you know. But
you're not.
But when you're, you know, being so aggressive, and it's like, stop that. This is the natural performance decisions. That's the natural thing to do, right? The emotion, we are emotional beings. So it makes complete sense, because being outside, sure, your example about, you know, dying, sure, back in the day, but now being outside means you're on your own, and that's scary. And you have to go and find a new space to fit in where actually buying designer clothes doesn't actually work for us, because actually that's not what's in our bank account right now. There are people who are okay with you not having the latest, you know, Armani, whatever. Yep. But that's a scary thought. It's an unknown, which then could also lead into maybe a second point, which is fear of the unknown, ambiguity. Yeah. That uncertainty, we don't like that as humans. But yeah, let me stop there.
Yeah, that's fine. You can continue if you want. But for sure, like I think also as a young black man as well, where we sit or where the media or society may put us, the place that they put us within society, sometimes makes us feel not worthy or not part of. And everything seems esoteric. This is not our world. And sometimes buying things helps you feel like you're a step up with these people.
You're part of.
Right. So, like, my house might be terrible. I don't live in a great environment. I might not eat the greatest food. However, when I'm outside, I'm in this car and I'm wearing these type of clothes. So I'm in this group. So you're going to treat me like this. When none of that stuff matters, it's about you, the person, how great of you are as a person, which is very hard to tell someone when you feel like, and you almost can skip all of that by having a Armani suit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm amazing. If I walk into this, that's it. I've done all the work. I just have to buy this, and I can afford it. Kind of.
Yeah.
I kind of can afford it.
It.
Like, yeah, exactly. I can get it. Like, it just doesn't fit within my budget if I'm balancing out all the other stuff I do in my life. But I can buy it, and
now I'm in.
that's it. And I'll be able to get in that door, and I can buy these drinks just for the one night, though. Maybe I can buy this dinner, throw this money, and everyone will make me feel as if I am, I don't know, Ronaldo or someone. I'm someone special.
Yeah.
And wanting to feel special and wanting to feel loved is another human emotion. You want to feel loved, and you feel like you're swapping the money for the love. And the only problem is they don't equate. Unfortunately, it's not. And even if you might feel it in that moment, it is a ruse. Like, you need to love yourself, and it's just how much do you love yourself. And it's a hard place to get to, though. It's not easy to get to the way that the world's set up, because they tell you need other things to feel loved. And no kid wakes up and needs a PlayStation. But a kid will wake up and need a hug.
Oh, I felt that. Yeah.
So that's crazy.
And, yeah. And of course, we could go down a rabbit hole talking about social media, talking about, what's in the magazines. If we start talking about young girls and... That's another
thing. That's a whole thing. Yeah.
Right, and I'm not going to go into it because that would just take up the whole talk, right? But we've got so many of these things telling us that we should be a certain way, and that's what's respected, desired. That's what's going to get you whatever likes. If we just use the word likes, you've got that being bombarded constantly. In the short attention span, and it takes away from exactly what you're saying, which is self-love and what's important to you and taking time to be with you. Everything's so fast-paced now. Everything's so much quicker. How we get our food, how we get cab, whatever. We don't really have time to just sit and be. And the lack of doing that in itself is not allowing you to know yourself. So then you think that these external things is who you are or validates you as a person. And yeah.
The microwave generation, I call it. Like,
microwave generation.
Yeah, we want things like that.
Yeah.
That's it. We want it there and then.
Yeah.
And we want it at McDonald's temperature. So you can drink it or eat it straight away. As soon as it's put in your hand, you can pull it in you. That's how I used to call it. That's what you want it. You want it the temperature where you can put it straight into your mouth, and then you ain't got to blow it or nothing. Just consume it. Just shove it in. Okay. So yeah. So let's move on a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
Tell me a little bit about your movement from 9 to 5 onto doing your own thing and your own business. Tell me about what that looks like from that jump. What was your last job? What was your first job and what was your last job?
So, first job, my days, do I remember? My first job. Remember I said earlier when I was talking about university?
Yeah, she said you had 2 jobs, yeah.
I've always had 2 jobs.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had one.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Epic. What was my first job? Did I do a paper round? I don't even remember. My memory's terrible. I don't think I did a paper round. I don't know what my first job was, but I know that I have worked in Sports Direct, Woolworths, Barclays. I was fired from Barclays.
So retail, most likely.
Yeah,
most likely it was a retail job.
I was great at a sales job. I killed it. Yeah, top saleswoman.
Sales is in retail sales
Call
or
centre.
call center sales. That's what I did. Those were my first
There's one in
jobs.
Camden, it was
I
great.
wasn't very good at them though.
Oh, I was surprised. I surprised myself. I got to the top ranking so quickly.
That's great.
They used to say, you've got a great voice. I trust you.
Yeah.
Sure, just pay up.
It's my job.
Yeah.
So you did something like that first, like
Yeah,
retail or
yeah.
something like that.
I did lots of that stuff. So just lots of random. I've had a load of jobs. I must have had at least 20, 25 jobs.
Okay.
You know. So my last job was, what would have been like? I guess 2000. Gaze into the distance, trying to remember.
Mm-hmm. The year doesn't matter too much. But what was it? What were you doing?
I think, let's just call it that. I was heading up the finance department for a creative agency.
Mm-hmm.
Was there for 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I did that. Actually, that wasn't my last one. Then I moved on to a tech company. So I mentioned that because that was the most significant, where I realised and I felt the itch to get out.
Okay.
And quit. That's why I mentioned that, but I had two little jobs after. So yeah, I went for a bit of a transformation personally, if I'm honest. Kind of, what is it I care about? You know, I climbed the corporate ladder really quickly. Every jump was pay, new job was like 10k pay rise or whatever really quickly. And I was really aggressive moving. Studied like crazy, went through my CIMA exams really quickly. And I was like...
What exams were they?
CIMA, so Chartered Accountancy.
I was going to say, accountant. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. My dream was to be a management consultant, actually.
Okay.
So I was like, just knock this out. But yeah, I got to this job and I was there for 4 years and kind of went through personal transformation where I was like, identification, who am I? What is it I care about? And I realised actually this is no longer serving me. This is not what I want to do. I want to do something a bit more impactful. Mm-hmm. So I quit with the desire to go out on my own. Okay.
Was it planned? Did you say, I'm going to do this at this time? Or were you like, I hate this job. Fuck this shit. I'm out.
I was done. I was done with the job. I was like, you get to a point where you've had enough. I wasn't upset or angry, but it was like, I'm done with this. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to go travelling by myself. Okay. I got cold feet and went and got another job. Okay. And that job, it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible.
I knew you were going to say that,
Really?
Because of what you said, like you wanted to leave.
Yeah.
And then the universe is going to give you a garbage job. Of course it's going to give you a garbage job. It's not going to give you the best dreamy job ever.
It was like, Krystle, what are you doing? You're done with this 9 to 5. So why are you going back into a 9 to 5? It was horrible. The environment was horrible. The boss was horrible. Complete transparency. I'd go home crying. I'd drag my feet to work. Yeah. I'd feel sick. My friend reminded me the other day, Krystle, you used to have to stop on the way to work and because you felt sick. It was a horrible. Basically the boss was a bully. Yeah. So I did that. Tried to quit after 3 weeks. He didn't let me. Ended up staying for 6 months because I thought it's a contract job to get them through audit. Let me do that. Okay. Anyway, finally left. Went travelling for a year and a half by myself.
Nice. Where'd you go?
Started in India.
Oh, nice. Whereabouts in India?
I did like a travel group. Everyone told me to go with a group.
Went to a couple of places.
Yeah,
it's a good idea
I did the whole
group.
Yeah.
Why did you say yeah like that?
I mean, I did the rest of the travels on my own. Okay. But everyone was like, no, you can't go to India by yourself. And I'm like...
It's not great, but it's the fact that it's just having people around. It's not the fact that... I don't know. I don't know about safe. I know about safe. Yeah, exactly.
As a woman, yeah.
Exactly. I know that's the thing they would have said. Yeah. But I don't think it's that. I've travelled on my own, and it's just having someone, just to have someone. Oh, I'm gonna go do this. You want to go and eat, or just something? Because after a while, it is just you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not feeling what you're saying.
I'm interesting.
So India was a month with this tour group. Mm-hmm. I loved India. Mm-hmm. I loved it. I had some interesting experiences, and I realised that I'm not great with change. Just side note, just giving you all the
humans are not really good with change, though. You do realise that?
Oh, mate. Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah.
Like I'd literally go to we're travelling, and I'd get to the hotel maybe first by myself, whatever. And there was the first hotel when I first arrived in India. I literally sat on the bed for an hour talking to myself. Krystle, you can do this. You can survive in this hotel for a week. The reason is because the hotel was disgusting. I didn't buy the top tier package. Mm-hmm. I bought the budget package because I'm good with numbers. So I thought I don't need it.
Of course.
And it was filthy. I'm a clean freak. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so I started in India. Then I did the rest of. Stayed in Thailand for like 3-4 months. Indonesia, Vietnam, Singapore. Lovely. Ethiopia, Togo, Benin, Istanbul on the way back. Great experience. And so the reason why I disagreed with your point is I was on my own for the rest of those travels, and you meet people.
Yes.
People. Like,
Yes, you do.
You make friends.
Yes, you do.
Especially when you're in a location for more than a week or so, you find the little pockets of people, and you go to dinner with them, you go to parties. And Thailand specifically, there's a very big Black American community out there. So, yeah.
But that's what I meant. So I meant you need that. Like, I didn't mean...
Right, you didn't need to have a buddy with you living
No,
with you.
but you need someone. You can't do the whole thing on your own the whole time.
It would be
it's
weird.
Not great,
and
yes.
it would be, dare I say, maybe even bad for you. Like, why are you not connecting with people?
Exactly.
Like, for so long. But yeah, that was amazing. And then that's where I did lots of my deep thinking, writing, planning for me to do my own thing in the space of personal finance is where I started. And then I came back, and you're going to see a pattern. Came back, was like, right, okay, I'm going to do my own thing. Krystle applied for 18 jobs.
And you definitely got one.
No. So pre that, whenever I applied for a job, I got job interview 1 or 2. Not toot my own horn, but let's just do it. I'm good at my ish, right? So I would get jobs, easy. When I came back from travels, 18 interviews, they all said no. Do you know why? Because I didn't really want it. So at the interview, literally, and I recall, I'd be like, yeah, no, I can do that, yeah.
Believable then, yeah.
Oh, mate, I was so dismissive.
Yeah.
And then it was, I think after like job interview 18, and they were offering me like, I don't know, it was like 60K or something. I was like, what is this? This is not enough. That's way below.
Yeah.
And I was like to my friend, I was like, should I just do my own thing? She was like, yeah, do your own thing. Just go for it. 3 months later, pandemic.
Oh,
that is exactly how I got to.
Oh my.
Which is again the universe just showing me.
That's what I'm saying. Like you just gotta be grateful. You gotta be grateful
so
for these pushes.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, I bet it is.
So
I
uncomfortable.
bet it is. Yeah, I know it is. But you needed that.
I did, clearly, because I wasn't listening to my own desires and.
That's good. But the thing is, but you still listened because you can still go against it.
Yeah.
You still could have said, well, I'm just gonna work somewhere where, do you know what I mean? Whatever, whatever it is. You still listen, so that's good. I felt the same though. I've semi-recently, months ago, went for a job which was really high paid, maybe the highest paid I've really ever went for, and I didn't have the answers for them because I didn't care enough.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. And I was just like, and I did it, and I actually did the interview just to see what it would feel like to have an interview for that type of money, what type of questions would they ask and what have you. That was kind of why I wanted it to get out of it. But then when they gave me the feedback, it was like, you're not jumping at the bit. You don't, because I don't want it. Because I don't want it. That's why. But do you know what I mean? And that's what it is. You can tell.
And you can tell. I mean, I'm sure you've interviewed people. I've interviewed people. And you can tell when someone's...
Yeah, you don't want it. Yeah, that's interesting.
So yeah, that was where then pandemic and I decided to start my online, put myself out there into the world with personal finance.
Okay. So, pandemic hit, you started all your jobs. You started, was it one company? Was it two? I didn't. What was the...
I just put myself out there talking about personal finance. I just started talking about personal finance. It wasn't psychology, it was just money tips, how to...
So it formed around what you were doing, and did you get clients through doing that, or what happened?
Yeah,
what was
so I think I started talking about it, and then I had some people request, hey, Krystle, do you do one-on-one stuff? You know, you're talking about things that I need to learn. I was like, yeah, sure, okay. So I started doing a few one-on-one sessions. So it wasn't actually a business plan at that point. It was just, I don't know what I'm doing. I care about this stuff. I don't know how to structure it to be monetized, you know, in a sustainable way. And then I just started to build momentum. So I don't know if you were following me from the beginning, but I didn't exist. My face didn't exist. I was just these orange pictures. Yeah.
I think everyone does that.
Oh, I was terrified.
No one really wants to do this. Who wants to do
the?
But that's the thing. But this is the thing, and this is why, like, and I've said this before. I've said, like, find what works for you, because if that works for you, that's great. I was brought up when the internet came out. Yeah. Like, the internet was not a thing, and then became a thing.
We had to
so
run
for
home
me,
to answer the phone,
right. Do you know what I mean? You couldn't be on the phone at the same time as the internet, or do you know what I mean? People would call you. I've been calling you for an hour. I was on the internet. Like, that's crazy. But so doing the selfie things and all that, it's just not me.
It's all good.
But you can find a way to do it, and you know what I mean. There's ways that you can do it that you feel more comfortable with, and I think you found like a way that kind of.
Well, I mean, I started terrified at the thought of my face being on this, talking about, because I mean, if we rewind back to when I was working 9 to 5, I was literally that person who hid behind the computer screen as the nerdy accountant. Like I was just a typical sure, no, I'll send you yours. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, that's who I was. So to go onto socials and be who I am right now, like I've been on ITV and stuff. Like this is a massive transformation. If I would dare go and speak to my old people I used to work with, they'd be like, I don't know who the hell you are. So I started just hiding, and then it just started to build momentum. Basically, I guess because I was really passionate about what I do, and I guess I took sense. People resonated, and I guess my message is very different to a lot of the people. I talk about you, the human, and how you feel, and the reasons for your decisions, where they come from, you know, culturally, economically, you know, your peers. And that's the reason why you might be making bad decisions right now, whereas a lot of people come to me afraid and upset about what they're doing. Oh, I'm just stupid with money. And it's like, no, you're not, mate. You're just, there's all these external things. Let's just untangle those, and then you're a superstar.
Yeah.
And that is powerful for people. You know, it gives them self-efficacy and confidence. So I just started doing more of that and building out, like I've got programs now that I take people through with their personal finances, you know, different sections, pillars, you could call it. And then again, I realised that there's a real need for people who have a business and starting or have been running for a few years and haven't got their business finances sorted. It's the same thing. I was like, Krystle, you know your accountancy, you know your finance stuff, pair it together. So I do that as well. So it's just started to build momentum, and I've started to see the need of the market. So Mind Over Money has been built out of me identifying that need.
Which is the best way, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's the best way. If you're able to do that, and if you're smart, any business you do, if you're pivoting and changing it in accordance to what's happening around you, is probably like the best way.
Yeah.
But by doing that, because you didn't have a straight path, were there moments of failure where you did something wrong because you were heading in the wrong direction, or?
I think in the business world, what I've learned definitely most recently is the power of the feeling for me in terms of the people I work with and things I say yes to. So I've come across lots of opportunities that look amazing. Oh my God, if I worked with this person with their social capital, I could, you know, and it's not the thing to do. If it doesn't feel right, it doesn't. And again, with some clients I've spoken to, and it's just, the opposite happens. It really affects me, or, you know, or it turns out wrong. And so, yeah, that's where I've had a lot of learning, I think. In terms of making mistakes, I'm quite risk averse, so that's rare. Yeah, I think that point, because that fills in for lots of examples, you know, people I've tried to work with, and actually that wasn't a good idea. I didn't follow how that felt for me. I think that's the most powerful for me.
So I personally still learning with that, because sometimes I would just go for the thing that makes sense, whatever makes sense kind of thing. And normally sense is the highest paying, or do you know what I mean? And that will make sense. But like, yeah, everything that glitters is not gold. It's not always the right kind of the right choice. And that's difficult.
It's
just
hard.
Able to learn.
It's
to
hard
learn
because in that, what you're having to do is trust that what is for you is coming.
Yeah.
Basically, and that, again, going back to the point earlier I made about ambiguity, we don't like that. Like, okay, I'm saying no to this great, juicy, sexy opportunity right in front of me that can pay me X amount, or put me in front of, I don't know, Cadbury's or whatever. But actually, this person and how they've dealt with and all this stuff just is so wrong. Saying no to that, but then you're leaving it open for something that is right to come in.
But it doesn't feel like that, and that's great that you said that. It sounds like you're saying there's an opportunity, and I'm saying no. And because you can't see ambiguity, you can't see the rest of the things. So therefore, you've just said no to the opportunity that you've got.
But actually, what you're doing is you're saying yes to yourself instead. In that moment, you're saying yes to what I believe in. What
You're
my
saying yes
values
to the
are.
next thing.
Exactly.
You're saying yes to
And
the next
you're
thing without
leaving
it
the door
knowing.
open.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly, without it knowing it coming.
Yeah.
But that is very difficult.
It's hard. It's hard. It's hard. It's a daily thing, and I think anyone in business or anyone who's trying to build something outside of a 9 to 5 goes through such difficulty.
But it does pay for that. It does pay, and I think you have to be. I like to think more of a hippie. You know what I mean? Like it is a hippie mindset.
No,
it's just
is.
like, oh, let's be love, man, and then love will come to you, and the thing that you're supposed to be for you will come to
But
you.
if you think about it in another way, right? It makes sense, even if you hippie, yes, but if you feel good about something, then you're likely to shine and give your best, right? You feel comfortable in the environment, in the conversation, in the way you're working, in the way you deliver the service, or whatever it is. Now, the people you're working with can feel that from you. And I say this from personal experience. You get repeat business that way.
Yes.
When everything feels so juicy, sexy, lovely, sexy is my word to describe things.
Yeah.
But when everything feels good for all parties,
Yeah.
they want you back.
100%.
And it's, you can leave the door open for that. You finish this project, and I've been having that recently. A couple of really big clients have come back again, and I'm like, oh, I didn't see this coming. But yeah, great, because it feels good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if you do things that don't feel good, you might not be being yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then that will reflect badly. And then you might not get something extra from that you thought you would, because you're doing the thing that doesn't make you feel good. What is your daily schedule like? What is your weekly schedule like? What is it as an entrepreneur? How does a week and a day look like? What does it look like for you?
It's a good question. And I think here I'd lean into what I'm learning is my ADHD showing up.
Okay.
My ideas are constantly, all day, every day, firing crazy. Everything's go, go, go. Mm-hmm. So I like things to be done quickly. So if I have an idea, I like to knock it out. I'm quite aggressive if I need to contact this. So I'm very fast paced. Mm-hmm. In terms of my week, so I say this with a caveat because I've just finished uni, right? I just finished my master's in August. Yep. So right now I'm in after having some chill time, some spas, I'm in a place of, all right, let me get my ducks in order. What am I prioritizing? What's the focus? Mm-hmm.
I'm going to stop you just to ask, what was the focus of uni? Why did you decide to do a master's after you'd done your degree and you whatever, and you actually got a business? Yeah. And normally, not always, but the degrees are like, I want to do this job or I want to get this money, and you're already there. Why did you decide to do that?
The really kind of embarrassing answer is I wanted to read more about behavioural science, and I wasn't.
What's embarrassing?
Because you're here. Because I wanted to read more about behavioural science and stuff, and I just wasn't reading because I was like, oh gosh, So I thought if I do a master's, I'll have to read. That's the really basic reason.
Yeah, but that's still smart. But that's smart. I don't get that. That's like what the type of person you are.
Yeah.
You know how you behave,
so
and this will make me do the thing.
To go in.
Well, there you go. But then you got a couple of letters after your name now as well. So,
but so the motivation was I read a lot about behavioural science and psychology, and I was like, this stuff is really fascinating. This is me. This is what I want to do. I can see how this can transform people's lives. Mm-hmm. The world of finance and finance education, I say that because it doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. In terms of schools and government and stuff, it's poor. Mm-hmm. The world needs this. So my big, totally honest, and I need to go back to this, but my big passion, mission, drive is to make the world of finance and finance education be plugged in 100% with psychology at the forefront. Okay. It needs to be there, right? So that was my drive to go and get serious and know what I need to know about psychology and finance and how they intertwine. So I did a short course on neurofinance at Liverpool University. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and I was like, this stuff is amazing!
I'm sure it is.
So I reached out to the professor, and he was like, you need to go to do your masters. Do this, become a doctor. And I was like, yes. So then, and it's funny, going back to the question earlier about London Metropolitan, it's not the Russell Group or whatever. I got into Warwick, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And it's been great. I've learned so much amazing stuff.
Yeah.
So that's why I went.
Okay, that's fine. So skipping back, your day to day.
Yeah. So now it's focused on Mind Over Money, and I'm currently refining one offering to corporates because I've been doing lots of work with them, mainly on the financial well-being side. But what I want to bring in is the business financial decision making. Okay. So when I worked in companies, I could see that you've got lots of mid-management who are not good at finance. They haven't been trained, but they are responsible for significant pots of money and budgets and all kinds of things. And when I was working in those companies, I was often called upon to train them up because I was good at that stuff.
Okay.
And that's not common.
Right.
I've had clients come to me for support with their finances who are accountants. So it's not just because you're an accountant doesn't mean
But that's not all doctors are healthy.
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah. So that's where that product comes in. It's kind of it will be a dual of that part and the financial well-being, which I've started doing already, which is exciting. So right now it's brand awareness, I guess, putting Mind Over Money a bit more on the map. I do mentorship in partnership with organisations, so I mentor some of their cohorts.
So is that do you have that weekly, or is it? Do you have? And how do you slot it in? Is it in your schedule? What? How does that? What does it look like? Do you wake up and say, I wake up at 12 o'clock in the afternoon because I don't have to, and I'll work until 12 at night? What does it look like?
Right, literally. So when I'm in a good phase, I wake up at say 6, 7, go to the gym.
Okay. Early bird then. That's early. 6, 7 is early.
Do you know what? It feels good.
I like it. That's me. I like to get up early.
It feels good because then it's like...
It's not for everyone.
No, it's not. And I think, am I in it? I'm a bit later at the moment. I'm in a bit of a later phase. But waking up early and knowing that you've done so much and it's not even 1 o'clock or 12 o'clock. It's like, oh my God, look at this.
That's the one.
It's beautiful.
That's the feeling.
And you feel pumped, especially when you start your day of a workout. You give yourself some you time. You're like, yeah, I'm a boss. Let's do this, you know? Yeah. Check my emails, update any urgent requests, etc., and then look at my to-do list that I would have set from the day before. So that's one thing I definitely do. I plan out my gym visit, get my clothes out, all that kind of stuff. Plan what I need to work on, what I need to focus on for the next day. There's always a to-do list of admin rubbish, but it's like, okay, what is the main thing? Like for today, for example, it was to send a pretty significant proposal to a client, which... I had the call on Monday. It's now Friday. I needed to get it out, before afternoon. So it's just being clear about what my killer things are to do for that day, and focus on that.
Okay. So you kind of eat the frog, whatever it is, the thing. Yeah, the thing is there. You just go for it. Yeah. That's cool. So then, do you have an overarching goal for your business?
Good question, and that's where I am. So. I kind of have two businesses. I've got my kind of CAIM consultancy, which is where I do the one-on-one work, working with founders and individuals. And Mind Over Money is more the corporate side, offering that dual solution. Yes, there's a couple of things I'm not ready to talk about yet.
That's fine.
Exciting, but developing out.
Yeah.
I'm currently just planning what that looks like, what's required, how much of my funds I need to put into to build that out.
Yeah.
Who do I need around me? And that's where I am with that stuff right now.
That's excellent. So, do you see, for your personal finance stuff, do you see any links between your clients? Do you see something that you see in most of your people that you see? What are some of the things that you see?
Yeah, but yes. But I again, my kind of science brain is like, yes, but maybe because of the way I talk about finance and the issues I highlight. So
okay, so you're making them link. So you're making them think in the same way, or
it's a certain type of person that would come to me.
Huh.
So if I spoke about green frogs, it would be people who like green frogs, right? So I talk about certain issues like lack of organisation, lack of confidence.
Right.
So the people I get have those kind of challenges. They don't feel good about themselves, and they think they rubbish at money, or they impulse spend, or they're afraid to look at their finances. I've had some clients who literally are afraid to open their bank statements, or on this self-efficacy is one of the key things that I talk about, and I think is so powerful in terms of transformation.
Explain that.
So self-efficacy is basically the belief you can do what you desire, and once you have that, that's it. Because if you don't think you can do, it's kind of what we were talking about with the teacher stuff, right? Yeah. If you don't think you can do something, you won't do it. Yeah. You won't. So, in terms of my program, what I take people through, the first part is building that up, which is kind of getting them to understand who they are, why they're there. So the people that come to me, most of them, not so much the founders, because that's more focused on business. That's where challenges are. But especially on the personal finance side, they don't think they can be good at money. They don't think they can save enough for property. I mean, there's one client I had, amazing woman. She's got 3 kids, single parent, but she had no confidence in her. She had quite a lot of debts, several, and hadn't opened letters, which is a common thing.
Yeah,
Literally
which is
not,
interesting.
Yeah.
It's just blocking it out, isn't it? It's not there. If I can't see it, then it doesn't exist. Yeah.
So she came to me in that space. This was when I was quite a bit cheaper, but that was still quite a lot of money,
Yeah.
And the first part is just taking people through that journey of you're fully capable and understanding why you feel the way you feel. And, with her, for example, I think it was her dad who was quite negative about her ability to do things. But she'd written off the thought of owning property, having savings. She's got 3 kids, and the transformation, she now has like 8 grand in savings. She's cleared all her debt. It's a beautiful transformation. But
Excellent.
Looking at how she communicated to me about money in the beginning, like I start with like a questionnaire to look back. It's nice to reflect and see what kind of stuff was I saying, and comparing it to how she is bossing it, and she's so excited, and she's maintaining her budget like a 12-month forecast, and she's really excited to do that. And I think definitely the switch is her believing that she can.
That's it. That is the biggest switch. It's got to be.
huge,
But with
yeah.
anything.
The actual logistics of what you need to do to manage your money well is minuscule. It's minor. Whatever. It's believing that you can do it, then you will.
That's huge. It's so huge. It's everything. But but it seems so simple. But the shift in a lot of people's mind is difficult.
Hard.
Yeah, it's really difficult to just say. But it's with anything. I believe it's with anything. If you believe that you can do that thing, we said it earlier. The man who thinks he can and can't. They're both correct. Do you know what I mean? So if you think you can switch that over.
It's funny. I just had a thought. There's one lady I worked with, and if I'm honest, we had our first session. Like, I remember when I was talking to her before I even brought her on, and she was very negative. And I was like, okay, but she was saying the right things about what she wanted, and I was like, okay, sure, let's go. Our first session, I was like, I'm not sure I can help her. I think she's in such a no negative, downer kind of space. I thought maybe she needs therapy, maybe something different. But obviously, after that session, our second session, she was firing up. Like she completely, and I was like, okay, all right, But I think that there is where
the
that
little switch, the little switch, and it takes it from different people. It takes different things for different people. But I've got friends as well that the reason why their finances are not good is because they believe this is how it should be. It has to be like this. And even if I kind of show them, maybe you could try this or this, because they think they cannot, and this is the way it needs to be, then that's the way it needs to be. And it's the change in their brain. If they can change that, that's the thing that will help them. So, kind of going back to the question a little bit, is there any link that you say most humans think like this about money? I know you're saying you're looking for a certain type of person.
But some basic behavioural, psychological things.
Right.
Yeah, sure, of course.
Please.
We've got things like loss aversion. We don't like the thought that we're not going to have something. So when we look at our decisions, we do them with, you might have heard the term scarcity mindset, out of fear.
Yep.
And that's anchoring is another thing, but that's anchored in fear of losing out. So a lot of our decisions are based on actually we need to keep this here. We're afraid to, especially with business, we're afraid to make a certain decision because, what if?
Yeah.
That's common amongst all humans, of course. Status quo. So that's a bit like what we were talking about. It could connect with fitting in with our peers. So keeping things as they are, like you just spoke about your friends. That's how it is. That's how it has to be. That is a thing for all humans. It's the familiarity. We know what it is. We're comfortable with it. Our brain likes to keep us in the same, the fear of the unknown. So we tend to keep things as they are. Trying, I've got some clients who are big 30, 40 and have got the same bank accounts they had from when they were 16. And actually, there are banks that pay you just for having money in your account. But a lot of people are still paying for accounts and not actually using the benefits of the accounts. But
Yeah.
because that's the account they had,
That's
because
it.
someone said, and
I used to be like that.
yeah, of course, so did I.
Yeah, I used to be like
You know,
that.
I had the same bank account since I was 16, and it's like, why? I don't need you.
Yeah.
So there are plenty behavioural things that we do and stick to. There's something called anchoring, where, you know, the first thing we became aware of, we relate everything to that.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the first, you know, we're primed that
Yeah.
that is the basis.
The point of reference. That's the
Yeah,
first place.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So then a lot of our decisions going forward are going to be based on, well, is it close to that? But that's not necessarily the right thing. And that's where we go over, you need to train yourself to go over to be more economic and analyse, okay, what makes sense? For me, for what I want to achieve, for where I'm going, does it make sense for me to still be doing that? Instead of, because that's what I'm most familiar with, I'm going to keep doing that.
Okay, they're very good. So it shows me that you look at behavior, and there are traits and behaviors that people have, and there's ways of changing them, right? For us to be better informed and financially literate, right? So say we raise the level of literacy. Isn't there just going to be new tricks and new ways for get people into the position that they want them to be in? Businesses and credit cards and the financial situation. Isn't there? It doesn't mean it's a lost cause. But are we still going to be susceptible to new tricks?
So, in terms of science and psychology, where the research is today, and that's what I'll talk in reference to, there is, like some of the stuff I've just mentioned, there's a basic understanding of how we are as humans, right? So forget behavioural science, which is my space, which is the more recent thing, maybe in the last 10 years. Psychology, there are lots of basics in terms of how humans operate. You know, if we look at emotion, how we are motivated by emotion, or something called saliency. So, you know, the fact that you've got the orange ball in your t-shirt, that stands out the most, you know, in terms of, you know, building a website and putting the button to buy now in pink or whatever, you know, think of Klarna. So those are basics in terms of human behaviour. The work or the focus of behavioural science, from my angle, you know, because there's obviously consumer behaviour in terms of getting more sales, you know, if I was to work for a company and do that, is to educate people about how those things work, so they're more primed, it's at the forefront of their brain, and make that more, that it comes to mind more often when they are making decisions.
Okay.
So a lot of the work that I do with individuals is, after say session 3, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm thinking of doing this, but naturally I've paused because actually I know that I might be doing this because I've just had an argument with my boyfriend, and they've got that at the forefront of their brain. So now they've got that gap before they're just naturally going impulse spend. So what I'm doing is getting people to think like that, think more economically and understand self-awareness ultimately, and that's obviously coming after the self-efficacy part, because you need to be open to learn that stuff and then learn the finance. In terms of new tricks, I want to say no, because I don't want it to be the case, but what you're basically asking is, will there be new areas of human behaviour that will be uncovered that organisations can use to then get people to do what they want to do? Potentially. We're talking about scientific research. Yeah, potentially. Because that's what these companies use. They use scientists, they use psychologists to design products, etc., to get people to behave in the way they want. So from where I am standing, I'm using the same science, but on the other side.
But which is good, and maybe I didn't spend enough time thinking about the answer. But what you did say is great. What came out of the question was great, because I don't know. Let's try and use this as an analogy. Going to the gym, for instance, is there if you go to the gym and you get really strong, you can push weights that you couldn't push before. Are they going to be heavier weights? Yes. But you can also get stronger. So what you are saying is that even if they do come out with you different things, you're now smarter, you're now in a different place.
Yeah, I guess what that made me think of is, okay, if we think about a successful person, right? someone amazing, I don't know, Shaq or whatever. We look at, I don't know his life story, and maybe I should, but anyone successful to such a high degree, right? There's a journey, and along that journey you have different battles to overcome. Now the battles he had to overcome here involve, I don't know, maybe realizing that your friends aren't going to support you to buy your first product, and getting over that upset and you know, expectation. That's that battle. Then to maybe launch your business might be another set of battles, you know, in terms of discipline or whatever. So I think that's maybe the journey you're talking about, because I think it depends on what this individual is trying to achieve. You know?
Yeah.
Because if it's just feeling confident about getting a higher salary, that in itself is a lot of work. You know, we're talking about self-worth. Do I feel like I can earn 50k or whatever? You know, I've been earning 30. That was a lot. You know.
So mad, isn't it? Because it's not just saying it. You know, you can't just say, "Oh yeah, I deserve 50k."
No.
But if you just said I deserve 50k and went for a 50k job, that's the step towards doing the thing that you need to do. It is that simple, but it's not that simple.
It's not, because you've got all these things in your brain telling you you're not good enough. Why would they pay you that? You don't know how to do that part of the job spec. You know, so many.
But you just learn.
Yeah, but all the emotional and the upbringing, and maybe your parents told you you're not good enough, and that, you know, if you were told that up until the age of 7, then that's your true belief right now. You know, to undo that belief. Yeah. But on the face of it, just go and apply for the 50k job on the face of it. But that's hard.
And it's hard. It depends on the people around you and what you're listening to, because I've got jobs, and I've went for jobs that I was not qualified for.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I get paid what I paid and do the things that I'm doing now is because I made the decision before. I said, yeah, I can do that. I couldn't. At the time, I could not do it.
Yeah, of course.
And I went there and I learned as I went. And it was difficult. It was baptism of fire. I was drinking from a fire hose. It was ridiculous. Like, what is this that I have to do?
But you had the belief that you could do it.
But I had the belief I could do it. And that's the
people
important
don't
part.
have that.
Yeah, that's the important part.
As some of the people I'm talking to right now, you know, especially when you look at what they're qualified in, for example, or the things they've done behind the scenes or whatever, it's like, are you kidding me? There are people out there who are way less qualified than you, killing it right now, because as far as they're concerned, they want to get that money.
But how I see it is another human being has done this. So I must be able to do this.
I like that.
It's kind of as easy as that. I remember failing my driving test when I was, how old was I? I think I was 19.
I'm going to show off and just let everyone know that I passed first time.
First time, I'm sure you did. And how old were you when you passed? Were you like as soon as you? Well, it's a little bit older, but you can do it at 17, or you can you can do it at a young age. I did it a little bit older. I think it might be 20. And then I was just like, there are 17, 16-year-olds or whatever doing this.
So if
they can do it, then I can 100% do it.
But that's the thing, and I think, and that you had that mindset, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people will find differences as to why they can't. Like you, arms are longer. I don't know, whatever.
Always. They say you start that
smarter.
business, your family helps you with that, or you have this person there and you have that, and which disqualifies yourself for actually getting the thing that you wanted.
And that stops you.
Yeah. It's silly though.
It's a shame.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a
shame.
Yeah. It's just that it's how some of us have been kind of built and wired, but we can change that, which is the good thing.
And I think, you know, I say this and we talk about this stuff, but I still have a lot of those beliefs. Sure, I've achieved a lot of stuff, but there's so much more I want to, like 10 times grander than what I've done so far.
Yeah.
And they are scary, but I'm still going for it. I'm still going for it wholeheartedly. Like, I don't care. Oh my God, it hurts. Pain, fear, sitting there laughing on my shoulder. Yeah. Whatever. I'm going for it. But I still have doubts.
Of course.
I still question whether I'm this, that, whatever.
We all do. Yeah, we all do. How do you see yourself making money after the age of 60? Have you thought about that?
I mean, the company I'm building is definitely will be a large portion of my income.
You still going to be working in that company after 60?
No, not in such a capacity, no way.
Okay.
But the reason why I'm hesitating is because I really enjoy existing in this space.
Okay.
So and I plan to maintain my health. You know, I plan to still be fully active.
Yep.
You know, traveling, etc. So I think I still want to exist in this space in terms of talking and communicating and connecting, and yeah, I don't think I want to sit on the beach and do nothing.
Yeah. So people that kind of get to a certain stage in life and do the things that they do to get there, the person they become can't be the same person who would sit on a beach and do nothing. I think no, because I think that, and
Yeah.
I used to think I wanted the beach thing, but you don't. Like, you might think you do, and the crazy thing is the reason why you want it is the reason why you do all this stuff is to do nothing, but you're doing so much stuff to do nothing. The journey of the person you become is not that person that will do nothing. So how would you say I'm gonna just do nothing after living your life at such a high level? How can you do that? Almost.
And I guess this goes back to kind of why I'm doing what I'm doing. Like, I truly am in a space where this is what makes me happy. You know, forget the hard stuff that comes with building a business, you know, where I am right now in the journey. Sure, whatever, that's got to be done. But I actually enjoy this work. I actually enjoy being in this space. So I don't think I want to ever stop being in this space. Knowing that I'm changing lives, helping people. I literally sit there and clap when someone tells me the success they've had, you know, through whatever means, my means or not. And that fuels me. So in terms of earning money later, sure, you know, property, you know.
Yeah, on a practical level, that's kind of what I was thinking about also. So more of the same, level up what you have, maybe a bigger portfolio.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And there isn't anything specific? Have you said, well, I would say this is going to make my money, or it's just the focus on the business, or are you a pensions person, or what does it look like? Because at some point you wish to be 60. What will it look like? Well, someone else will be running your company,
Yes.
and you'll be getting money from that,
For sure.
and it'll probably be enough. Is that it, or do you look at it other ways? What does it look like?
Again, like I said right at the beginning, I think diversifying is my thing.
Yep.
I think that makes the most sense. So property, for sure. Continue building that portfolio. My business, like you said, exactly. Someone else running it, so I'm not running around like a blue ass fly forever. And then pension, of course, that's being built. That's there existing. And then I can flutter between and still exist in this space.
Okay. So have you ever been in serious debt yourself, or what you call serious debt?
Not apart from my student loan. No.
Your student loan was the highest debt you had, and how did you get out of that?
Yes, it was.
What was that?
My career. So remember, I climbed the career, but you know, accountancy, and I did that quite aggressively. So I was on a high salary quite quickly, and I think it got to the last chunk, and I just paid it off. So yeah, I cleared that quite a few years ago.
So that was easy. And then after that, you never
took
out credit cards or loans, or not, unless it was for like business or.
No, and I don't think I needed to. So because I was quite risk averse and an avid saver, whenever I needed to buy something like a car, I'd buy it outright, pay my insurance outright. You know, I did everything that way to not pay interest, kind of borrow from myself and pay myself back. So no, never really. I mean, yeah, sure, I've got credit cards. I use credit cards in the right way, but not to accumulate debt.
Do you like credit cards? Is that your preferred way to spend? Do you spend everything on a credit card, or how does that work?
Not everything. Obviously, I've got my business accounts, so not everything. Yes, you know, especially when you can get some kind of benefits from the credit card, I think that makes sense. Building up your credit profile, depending on if you need to borrow money later for some kind of investment. Yeah, I encourage credit cards. I think there are some people who talk about credit cards like the worst things, or if we're going to talk about Klarna and buy now, pay later, some people hate that.
How do you feel about that?
I don't. I understand 100% that there are people, like we've spoken about, who don't understand how to use the services and get themselves in trouble.
Yeah.
I totally get that. But I don't think that means get rid of buy now, pay later. I think the angle needs to be educate people. Give them the tools. I don't think just because products exist that can be of benefit to many people if used wisely should be gotten rid of because people haven't been given the education. No, give people the education.
How you're using it. That's it. It's how you're using it. It's not the thing. It's just the way you're using it. They now have it Klarna for Deliveroo, which is interesting.
I think I saw that pop up somewhere.
Yeah, which is interesting. My understanding is, for some people, a takeaway is a treat.
Yeah.
And I understand why you would want to do that. But there's a couple issues of
to the extent.
Yeah, and you might be getting in debt by continually having this type of behavior where you're splitting all the time, and then you're also, it's said that will show up on your credit file as a payday loan type thing. This is someone who needs money now, and that's a bad thing if you're looking to.
It's difficult, right? Because especially with the current times we're living in, right? With the way things have got so expensive for some people that they actually cannot afford to live, so they have to rely on debt to get by for day-to-day things. So, if we talk about payday loans or credit cards, the fact that they can get credit is great. So they can survive.
Yes.
So then Klarna fits into that, although, yes, you're talking about a takeaway. And I guess that's where we go back to the education. Part of financial literacy and financial skills is understanding your needs and wants and understanding the impact of your decisions, which is a very head and logical thing. It's not an emotional thing, and that's part of the work that I do. It's getting you out of your emotions and being a bit more aware of yourself and aware of your decisions and what you're doing and how you feel and why you're doing those things. That's the education that's required, so that people understand that if you're buying a takeaway with Klarna, why are you doing that? Because it's a treat, likely.
It's just to split it. Say if it's just to split it. The takeaway is £50. I don't know. Maybe that's a takeaway for a family. And I don't want to pay 50 quid straight away. I want to pay, 17 quid at a time.
That's not my question. So it's not about the cost splitting. It's going back a step. And this is the focus of what I do. Why are you buying a takeaway when there's a supermarket outside to buy pasta?
Because I've worked all week.
This is my point.
I've worked a week and I deserve it.
That's exactly where I sit. Do you? Is that a treat? Is that really treating you? In terms of,
fried food, that probably isn't. It's true. That probably isn't good for you anyway. You might not.
I mean, that's another conversation.
But yeah,
with
I
my
get
plant-based self.
Yeah.
But what the focus that needs to be had is, what do you want for yourself? And this is where we go back to self-worth and understanding, self-love. So you're being very short-sighted if you're saying because you've had a hard day at work, you deserve to spend £50 on Pizza Express, whatever. They got a really nice vegan pizza.
I'm sure.
Oh, it's really good with the onions and stuff. You're basically saying that your value and what's exciting to you is having that pizza right now, whereas actually you deserve to have more. You deserve to have some savings for a rainy day, or you deserve to have a nice holiday, which means putting money aside.
You killed it. That's very interesting. Yeah, you killed it.
That's the shift.
That's brilliant, by the way, because I never thought of it like that. Because you just said the person thinks that they deserve this, but they should deserve even better
100%.
than that, which is it should be savings and maybe a second house or maybe. Portfolio, or maybe.
But the point is, and when you talk about what's common, people don't think they're allowed it. There's one client I had who literally was like, "Oh, I couldn't own a house. Like I come from this kind of background. My mum did. Me owning property. The thought of it terrifies them because they don't feel like they're worthy. So those people, some of those people who are valuing those immediate kind of KFC or whatever it is that the treat is for the now, is because they don't see that actually you can have so much more and you're fully capable. Even on whatever salary you're on right now, there are so many things you can do to get there. And it's a long game, and that's also scary. Whereas that nice meal right now from Deliveroo is right
there.
now. It's going to be in my house in half an hour.
Yeah.
My kids are going to love me, kiss me, and be happy. But they don't understand that. And it's funny because I was having a conversation with someone the other day about this. On the children's side and the wants that the children come to you with. And I'm not a mother, so maybe I'm not equipped to have this conversation. And, the maternal, paternal, of the child wanting things. But the child doesn't understand. The child doesn't understand the world. Sure, they're going to say, "Mummy, I love you. Thank you for the pizza on Friday." But they don't understand. And when they become 18 and look back and see, "Oh, no, we didn't have the pizza because look, now I've got 50k in my bank, Dad. Thanks."
Right. Or the other way round. I believe I believe my mum did the best that she could do with
course.
everything. And I love her for the decision she made. But she wanted to see smiles on her children's faces at Christmas. And looking back, as much as I wanted things, I would have been happy without the things. Do you know what I mean? But I understand why you would want to do that. And like I said, I'm not a parent either. I want to see my kids smile. I want them to have a happy Christmas. I want them to, you know, be fulfilled.
But that might also be combined with the parent not believing in themselves, that they can do more for the child.
Yeah.
You know, and seeing the greater value in this thing they're trying to achieve, although they haven't got it yet. That's hard to imagine. And what you mentioned, just the phrase that you believe your mum did the best she could. Yeah, and I totally believe that. And this is kind of the thing that I talk to people about. It's something called boundary rationality, where you make every decision you make, all of them, the good and the bad ones, are the best of your ability as to where you are right now.
Right.
Like 100%.
Yeah.
Even, and you know, this is a lot in terms of, I'm not going to mention what they are, but some people in my life or people I've encountered who make some really bad decisions, not even finance necessarily, but finance as well. They are making the best with what they have. You know, people who make bad decisions and put themselves in prison or whatever it is, for the circumstances that have been raised around, the beliefs they have, and all of that sauce mixed together, what they did at that point was the best that they could do.
Of course. They're not going to think, oh, I want to go to prison, so I'm going to do this crazy thing. They're going to do whatever they thought was good at that time, but they have consequences, and sometimes they didn't see the 5 steps ahead.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it was. So how was your relationship with money as a child, and your mum's relationship with you and money? Did she give you pocket money? You had an allowance? Did you had jobs early, so was it like you need to go out and do this to make the money? What was that like, your relationship with money as a young person?
So mum didn't talk about money really in the home. That wasn't a normal thing. I knew that money was always tight. She was always working hard. We did go on holidays kind of every couple of years or so.
Did you like that? Was that, you know, did you value the holidays?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't, well, yeah, sure, a kid excited to get on a plane, but I don't recall it being, oh my God, this is the best thing in my life ever. And then, yeah, as soon as I could, because it was wanted, I got a job at like 14, I think, because mum needed more money in the home and me to bring in my own income so I could buy my own clothes and do my own things. So quite quickly, I knew I needed to get money. So hence why I had 2 jobs forever. Yeah, and I think I was 21 when I first looked at my finances. I think I was dating a guy and we were trying to buy property together, and I was like, okay, so let's get serious about this. So I started working as an accountant, and I was like, yeah, let me put together a budget. I did one for him, did one for me. Right, this is how much we can save, this is how long it will take. That's the first time I did a budget. And that's when I realised, I don't know what salary I was earning, like really obviously low, like £900 or something silly. And the first time I did a budget, I looked at my last month and I saw I spent £500 on, I have no idea what, which is half of my income.
Yeah.
And that's when I realised, no. And that from then is when I've been serious, basically. But yeah, I just knew I had to get money. That was it. And that's how I am now. I just know I need to get money and I will get money. That's my...
And was that putting you from your situation? That was the reason why, is because of your relationship with you and your mum's relationship with money? Is that the reason? The reason?
I think so. My mum's self-employed and she has always been. She's never worked for anybody. So she started doing hairdressing when she was 16 years old, and she's now got her own salon, and that's what she does. Mum was self-employed, so I didn't understand the nitty-gritty of what she was doing. I didn't know how much she was making. I just knew that mum went out and got her own money. And I think that connection alone is what stayed in me. Sure, I went into 9 to 5 and I did that. I think, actually, thinking back, I had my own market store in Liverpool Street.
That's amazing.
Like 21. Yeah.
That's super
Come and get
cool.
your t-shirts, yeah.
You selling t-shirts?
Yeah, like I used to buy trousers.
Printed?
No, I just sewed and stitched some stuff with them. Like, what the hell? I think it's still in my mum's attic. Yeah, so I think that's where that came from. So I saw that no matter what, she'd go and get the money. Sure, we weren't rich, but she just found a way.
Found a way, yeah.
So I think that's what's been installed in me. So, you know, when I quit my own job and I didn't have an income stream, I knew that I can get money.
That's good. That's a good lesson. That's a really good lesson. Okay, so what would you say is the main thing that makes you the person you are today? What is the main thing that happened for you growing up that made you the person you are today?
It's a big question.
Big question, isn't it?
Can we talk about areas? Like, is there any particular...
You tell me.
All right. Gosh, that's a big question, mate.
I know.
So, in terms of the compassionate side of me when it comes to people's finances, I had... I think someone said something about me having empathy, which I think is very different in the space of financial education. That came from a specific experience where I just bought my first property, the one in East London. You know, first property, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I didn't have anyone holding my hand. No one in my family had bought property. No one in my immediate circle. I did it all on my own. Made mistakes, such that when I first got the keys and I had a tenant move in before me for whatever reason, I needed to rewire the entire flat. I needed to get a new boiler immediately. So straight away, within the first 2 months, I had to spend £6,000. Straight away. But I had savings, so okay, it was painful, but that was the reality. At the same time, someone had asked to borrow money from me. I think it was £1,500.
Okay.
Which was a lot of money. You know, 6,000 sure. But, you know, we're starting to chip away at my little savings. I think I had 10k at the time or something. And it was like, okay, I've just bought my first property. All right. Like, I love you and I trust that you'll give it back to me in the month, like you say. Month later, 2 months later, 3 months later. And they're avoiding. They're, you know, oh, okay, yeah, I'll sort that. Then I obviously got angry, right? Because, you know, I hadn't got the other tenants in or whatever. And I literally got upset and angry, and it was like, why are you not giving my money back? And because this person's someone that's dear to me and I love them, instead of me being continually aggressive or whatever it is that I was, I thought, hold on a second, hold on. What's going on here? Because I don't think this person means to be rude to me. But something's happening here as to why they're not giving me back this money, why they're not acquiring the money they need to acquire to give back. Like, so I think that's where I had a light bulb or a switch moment to see there's something else here.
Yep.
It's not that they're just trying to be rude, because I don't think that's the case. And that's when I went down the road of looking at money and psychology and got me to where I am today. I don't know, if we talk about, you know, I love drama, I'm going to pick up improv any minute now, I draw. Reasons for it? I don't know, I think if we go deep, which I'm not going to go that deep, but if we go deep
if you want.
Yeah, looking at my household and the fact that mum was out working, so there wasn't much time for me to have the, you know, nice home family environment where we sit around the table on a Sunday and talk about, you know, what's happened in your week and oh, I love you, and we didn't have that. So I think I didn't have any kind of emotional outlet. I didn't get to have that connection with anybody and explore those feelings. I guess my drawing was that. So I was quite a fairy in that sense when I was a kid. And I guess I've just kind of maintained the art and got a bit good. And make money off of it now. Which is great.
We talked about school before. You said you haven't got kids, but if you were to have kids or kids in the future, what have you, what would you want their schooling to be like? Would you want them to go to a private school? Would you want them to go to university? Based on your experiences and what you've seen, how would you want that to go for your children if you were to have?
First of all, I've not thought about that. Because it's not something that's in the forefront of my brain at all. I'm really aggressive with my business.
Okay, I might have a better question, maybe.
Go for it.
If you were Krystle's mum, what would you want for her?
Oh, my brain just literally, yeah. Krystle's mum. As a kid.
So, you're Krystle's mum now, and your Krystle, your child is a young Krystle.
Okay, cool.
And where do I want to see her go? And the choices I make for her for schooling will shape her.
Okay.
What would those choices be?
Gosh.
I just thought of that question just now.
I mean, well
I didn't
done.
write it
Like,
down.
my brain is like, okay, so trying to focus on the private-public part. God, do I know enough about private schooling to answer this?
Well, you know enough about public schooling to answer that.
I do. I mean, I went to a girls' school, which was an experience in itself, and it's funny, I've spoken to a few people recently about mixed schools and girls' schools.
Yeah.
It's so difficult because, remember, I grew up wanting to keep the home neat and tidy. Not just physically, but psychologically, that was the focus. So, and it spilled over into my schooling.
Okay.
So I was a good kid at school, so it didn't matter where I went. I was going to do good.
Cool.
I say that not having been to a mixed school, and I've heard, even yesterday I was talking to someone about the bad experiences they had being a girl in a mixed school. So, but there's a part of me that's like, same-sex school, I feel like I missed out a bit by not going to a mixed school.
Yeah, because you saying that, when you said experiences that they had negative for a mixed school, because I'm, what's the word? It's just ignorant to a same-sex school.
What did you go to?
A mixed school.
Okay, right.
So I thought straight away, when you said negative, I thought she's definitely talking about an all
really?
a same-sex school.
No.
Because that's how good I thought it was.
To be in a mix.
Yeah, and I think the other way, but that's only because of my experience, and that's it. I've got no basis, and I just hear the other negative stuff from the other side.
Yeah, I mean, just as one basic example, I spoke to a female recently who spoke about how horrible it was being a female amongst guys, and how...
In the adolescent stage, you're talking about just being growing to... okay. Yeah.
Awful. It's just one example.
Yeah.
And even like I said to you about me at college and how I was distracted by my boyfriend or whatever at the time, which took me away. And that's the thing. I think statistically they find that when girls go to mixed schools, they perform worse than if they go to a girls' school.
Okay.
But what's ironic, and I think is let's not swear, is boys perform better in mixed schools than same sex. So it's like nobody can exist.
Yeah, you can't win.
Just go homeschooling. Like.
Loads of boys together. Is tough. Like I can imagine it being tough.
Yeah.
It's like I know what boys are like.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But then again, mixed schools are also tough because and when you said like sexual harassment, I was just like, and my mum went back to school and I was like, yes, like there was like there is.
But
that's
then,
scary, isn't it?
On the other side, if we talk about private schooling now, and I think my brain went blank for a sec, but looking at kids that go to private schools, I mean, they're a different breed, right? I didn't, obviously. They're a different breed in terms of their confidence, their ability to know that they can do whatever they want to do. That is developed. The connections, the access to, peers and people, and it's great.
Would you want that for you? Because it also makes you a different person.
Of course, that's what I'm talking about. When I look at my friend's son who went to a private school, boarding school, he's completely different to the rest of the kids, his cousins and stuff. Completely.
Yeah. And also, it doesn't mean good or bad. It's just you're different. Do you want them to go through that? Do you want them to be that type of person?
Do you know what? It's so difficult for me to answer whether I would want to go to a private school because I think I'm great, and I went to a public school, right? So, but at the same time, I can see the benefits of those who went to those private schools. So to want to have had that experience and not have this, I've struggled with that.
See, because I want the benefits. I've always thought like I can see some of the benefits. You can see it, and I was like,
clear.
well, I want that, and all I have to do is pay for it. Like, why not want that?
Yeah.
But then, like I said, you become a different person, and you also become a different person to the public school people. We look at you different.
Yes.
You sound different.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So yeah, would you want that? I've always said that I would want the best mixed, and that would be live in a nice enough affluent area, to have good enough schools, which mirror public schools, and maybe have smaller classrooms, maybe, and stuff
And
like
that's a
that. And
big
that would
deal.
be, that would be good. You said we talked again about you and your mother and you growing up around money. How's your relationship now with your mum and money? Do you have a relationship with your mum now and money? Do you? It's a bit personal, but do you pay for stuff for your mum, or are you? Yeah, what is that like? Has your mum grown from that situation from before, and have you grown, or are you just separate? Do you do this and?
So, interesting question. She has grown from looking at, when we were young, and I knew she went and got money, and I didn't know much about how she got money. Obviously, because money is my space, and I can't not give her the teachings that I have, to give her some knowledge. And transformation is beautiful, from not having life insurance.
And she listened, because also parents don't always want to listen to their child.
Yeah. So for example, she now has life insurance, and she did it for a long time or whatever. No, at first she did not listen. Listen, my mum, sure, she's born here, born in London, but she's a black woman of a certain age. As much as my expertise is in business finance and now personal finance, as far as she's concerned, I'm a pick-me and I don't know nothing.
Of course.
Yeah? she's amazing at what she does. She's absolutely amazing. But as far as she's concerned, she knows better than me. And that was the truth for a long time.
Yeah.
So, no, it was very difficult to get through to her. And I had to learn myself. And now we're talking about, mother-daughter relationship. And as I grew and became an adult myself, she had to go through that transformation. And as I'm trying to teach her about it, it was very muddled. But I think as she's seen me do so much better, she's now like, oh, so you just bought somewhere up in Manchester.
Yeah.
And then you just sold it.
Yeah.
Oh, so you have money. Oh, okay.
That's what it is, isn't it? That's what it is. It's the proof as well. I find that with anyone, even a little bit of proof, a little bit of social proof. Like, oh, by the way, I'm doing this. And then people start like, oh, this is what you're doing.
Yeah, and it's understandable. You have to see it to believe it for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's not clear as day. Like me and her are not. I say this and she does it. No, of course not. She still sees me as her daughter, as a little girl. So I have to gently find ways to get her on certain paths if I think actually we could do better here.
So are you still linked financially with your mum in any way?
No.
Mum does you do you.
No, and there's something I talk about financial enabling. I don't know if you've ever heard that term or heard me talk about it before.
Maybe, but I even understand. I just from what you said, I understand what you.
So I made a point a long time ago to stop financially enabling my mum, my brother. So no, it's tough love in another way. No, I can't help with this. You need to do this, and that helps. And there's been transformation purely as a result of that. So no financial ties.
Okay, cool. I want to move on to slightly like romantic partners, stuff like that, money, because there's a topic to be talked about when it comes to that, because sometimes we think differently. When it comes to love, sometimes we can think a little bit differently. So do you think it is important that you and your partner think the same when it comes to finances?
Good question. I'm going to say no, because I think there's too many nuances and too many areas. Like, you don't think or feel one thing and it applies to all parts of your life or all parts of your finance either. Like, especially because, remember, like we spoke about earlier, money is just, it's just a tool, it's just a man-made construct for you to be able to have clothes, have a car. But then we have feelings about the clothes and the car. It's too layered. So I don't think that's possible for you to think exactly the same about money across the board. But I think you need to be on the same page in terms of your goals, what you want money to be for you together. If you're going down a path of togetherness forever, if you're aiming towards marriage or long-term partnership, then you have to have a shared vision for that, which then filters down into How do we join forces if we are going to join forces? What does that look like for us? You know, if you want to buy property together, I don't know, whatever, and you have a plan for that, you both have to be able to commit to that plan. Otherwise, then something's breaking down. But what that person might do with their personal finances, aside from that funds, whatever.
So there has to be some sort of
shared.
some sort of cohesiveness. There needs to be something where you link, but all of it doesn't have to be tied, because sometimes that your finances aren't always tied. You might just be paying the rent together, or you pay for a car together, or something like that. However, that can spill over if that person loves to gamble, maybe. You know, for instance, and I guess that would spill over. But then, then you'd have to think the same, though, do you?
You don't have to think the same. And I think, you know, if you've got the shared vision of something, to have something or achieve something, then the path to get there would need to be the same or joined, or be able to be joined in partnership.
Yeah.
And like you just mentioned, if someone had a gambling problem, then you can't have the same shared vision and path.
Yeah, because that's more important. The gambling is probably more important.
Yeah, so hence why my focus is, okay, what are we trying to achieve together, and how do we do that, and can we do that with how we are? And there may be certain nuances, like, you know, one might like to buy designer bags. I'm not going to say gender, because it could be both. You know, one
100%.
and that's fine, and they're really expensive, and maybe it's a bit impulsive every month, but if you still are able to commit to the plan to have whatever together, then okay, that could work.
So then the answer is really how you committed, how much are you committed to the thing, whatever it is the thing is, not specifically your spending habits or that person's spending habits. Are you committed to one vision and one goal? And if you have that vision and goal, you don't have to think exactly the same way when it comes to finance. You just
I don't think you do, but those extra bits have to play a part in that vision, because if your spending habits then stop you being able to maintain that, then it's a problem.
Then it's an issue.
Yeah. Okay. Like someone who enjoys spending their money on holidays, but the other partner doesn't, that's not a problem. You know, that's different values, and how you like to use your money is differently, but you can still have the same shared vision. And you know, this then also brings up another conversation of dating and knowing about somebody's finances. You know, is it a topic to talk about? Hell yeah.
Yeah, you should talk about it. Maybe not the first date, but like you should definitely. What do you mean maybe not the first date? Definitely not the first date. Does it matter that much?
You know what? For someone like me whose thing is finance, it will be easy for me to start chatting. Not to say how much do you earn and what do you think. No,
because that's the thing. Because some people jump down the throat with that one. Do you know what I mean? How much do you earn? That's a
no.
That's a techie question.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disclose how much I earn. So why would I disclose on the first date to a stranger how much? No.
Effectively.
No, it's not necessary. Yeah. I think you can talk around the issue. How do you feel about money? You know, do you have plans? You know, loose stuff. But
and you will find out quite quickly how they spend and how they think about money, their attitude towards money, and that's the issue.
And if you're attentive, you can even see it in their body language. You know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay. Then do you think it's important to for your partner to earn more than you? Would you like your partner to earn more than you?
It's not a requirement for me. It's not a requirement.
Yeah, I don't like how I phrased that question. But do you know what I'm trying to ask? How do you feel about your partner earning more or less than you? Both. Let's look at it.
It's a conversation because personally, it doesn't bother me. Like, I don't look at money in that way. It's more about you, what is of value, us, what is of value, what's important. Like, for example, I don't desire to have a big grand house in the UK. That's not a desire of mine. Like, I plan to move to a nice hot country and whatever, you know. I think it's more about what it means to the individuals. So there are many men who can't handle that.
Yeah.
They can't handle it. The thought of their woman and earning more.
But that's upbringing and behaviour and stuff like that, because
that's you know, expectations of a man and the role and ego, and that's where your the values aren't aligned then, because if they are placing so much importance and value on cash and having more than you, it's not even about being able to sustain our home and my life, and it's about having more than you. What's that? That's not,
Yeah, that's not helpful.
That's a different thing.
But for men, a lot of the time, how much you earn is connected to your ego. Yeah. It just is. Yeah. Especially the way that we've been told as well. This is what we should be doing with the providers.
Yeah.
We pay for the first date.
Yeah.
We do all these things where cash is important, and a lot of women look for security or strength, and I think that goes back to us being just primal. Yeah. Like you want someone that be able to help you on this journey.
Oh, you're talking about something different. That's not earning more.
Okay.
Because earning more is a number. I'm on 60, you're on 40, or I'm on 120, you're on 70. Like, that's a number. But if you're talking about being able to afford the lifestyle or afford your woman, if we put it like that, it sounded icky, and I don't want to ever phrase that again. Yeah. But you get my point. I think is important. That is a different thing, because the man has to feel good being a man in whatever is important to them, right? Because if a man feels of no or low value, it reeks on them, right?
Yeah.
They're not bright and shiny, back straight person. They're not. They're meek and not confident. So it's for me, it's not about the number. It's about being able to provide and do what you envision and the things you want to do in this relationship. That's a different thing for me.
100%. But the reason why it is tied to your ego is because
the number, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even just any wage, just having a wage. You're useless, and this is not my words, but yeah, I'm just saying. This is not my words, but I believe society tells us, me as a man, what are you doing if you don't make money? Yeah. Or
more than. Because this is the question.
Yeah, that is the question, and I'm the one who asked the question.
More
But this is the thing. And now it makes me want to rephrase the question. Do I want to rephrase the question? Not really. But it does, it does make, it is like, are you making enough money? Like, can you give a lifestyle, to this woman, whatever that lifestyle might be for that particular woman that you like?
Yeah. I get
Do
that.
I make enough?
Yeah.
And if I don't, I'm not worthy. I'm not a great person. Yeah, I'm not even good. Like I'm other.
But then, does it depend on the woman? Because a woman who doesn't have such requirements is happy with and I'm not talking about this negatively in any way, but happy with a Nando's once a month or every 2 weeks, for example. Not to say,
no.
And I say this not because this is my requirement or not because I care about eating out or anything like that.
Course.
But if we try to be really crude and black and white with some simple examples, if a woman is of a certain whatever that she's happy with and going to the cinema and just some basic things which are quite easy on a say 35k salary, then he's killing it.
Then you're killing it.
And he feels like a boss man.
Yeah.
And that if that's his circle and that's okay, then fine.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about a woman who, and this is maybe where we're talking about different salaries or income streams or trusts, for example, then she might be going to certain places which are a bit more expensive, or buying certain things, going out shopping, taking him along, and then him on his 30 salary won't feel good in that he can't do that for her as well.
Yeah.
Which is maybe where the ego would come up, because you can't do that for your woman. Right.
But then only if your friends tell you or people around your societies tell you you should be doing that. That's otherwise it doesn't make no difference. And the reason why I'm so pensive and I'm kind of all over the place is that because I've asked this question before, but the reason why I ask these questions is to keep going with this conversation and see where it takes me the next time. And if I phrase it this way, you know what I mean? And going back to what I said, it's only if your friends or you think that this is what I should be doing.
Yeah.
I give you an example of like being J-Lo's boyfriend. If I was J-Lo's boyfriend, I don't make anywhere near as much money as she makes.
Yeah, yeah.
But I would be okay with that.
Yeah.
And I'll be okay going to to shopping. I'll be okay with going out to eat.
Yep. And she funds.
And she's paying for it. She got more money than me. What am I supposed to do?
But that's my point. Which is why the conversation's about ego, because it depends on what's important to you. And if what's important to you, and if you anchor being a man in your ego, then you will have the problem. If for you being manly is about having a big, massive ego and buying up blah 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 and being able to then those things are important to you.
But will she treat you crazy? Will she treat you crazy because you're not doing all that stuff?
Depends on the woman. It depends on the woman. Like, because look, you want to be in a relationship where both parties are comfortable and happy, right? Mm-hmm. And if you're with a man whose manhood is anchored in ego and being able to provide, and they're with a woman who you can't provide for, then get out. Then no one's happy. She's not going to be happy with you not being happy with yourself because you can't provide. Unhealthy. If the woman earns more, but your manlyhood and you feeling tall, back straight, yeah, I'm the boss, is not anchored, and you've been able to buy her dinner at the posh restaurant she likes to go to every Tuesday, then you'll be fine. Like you just said, being with J-Lo and she pays, you'd be fine and you'll be happy. So I don't think it's a simple blanket. Men are all about ego and they have to earn more. It isn't.
That's why I'm so pensive. It's like, oh no, it doesn't work like that. It's not just straight.
You know, same with me. Like, I think I'm going to continue to increase my income and earn more and more. Like, fine. And sure. I'm going to go and kill it. But I don't think that means I have to have a man that earns more than me for him to be amazing. And I don't think that's a requirement. That those things aren't what I'm looking for in a partner. You've got to have a big income. No. I think it's about us having the lifestyle that we want, and however we do that, I don't think I want to be the person paying for everything. That's not the kind of income or how I want to set up my finances. Yeah. No, and that's not even the way I live. Like I'm not fancy in that way. Mm-hmm. You know, those material things are not important to me. Yeah. But if a man is egotistical in his manlyhood, then they would be.
I know people that were brought up that you're supposed to earn more. And I think that's probably really hard to get over. But also, I've described women's position in relationships is sometimes to be nurturing, and for a man to sometimes be what's the word? Protective, maybe. Yeah. And money can make you be able to protect your family.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you can't fulfill that, then you're not worthy. And I think that might be an issue. I can't.
Yes, if you can't provide.
I can't provide. I can't protect.
We live in a society where you need money.
And then what are you doing? Because you can't have kids as a man.
Whoa! You know what? I felt that.
Sorry, as a man, you can't have a child.
I mean,
so what are you gonna do? Do you know what I mean? So what are you doing? What do you bring? And I think sometimes the world is as harsh as that, unfortunately. And that might be the reason why people feel like, well, I'm not bringing nothing to the table if I'm not bringing her money. And if her tastes are up here, then I need to be providing that for her.
So it's all about what's important to each individual. So if what's valuable for him or important to him is him being the breadwinner, then he needs to find a woman that's important to.
At any level, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever his level is or whatever he feels.
Yeah. I mean, a woman who doesn't care about that will be happy with a man earning whatever. But the man has to be okay with that.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
You know, I say this because I've been in relationships where he doesn't earn as much as me and he's not okay. And it's painful because I don't care. You know, they earn enough to sustain and we can go out and do stuff. Yeah, sure. Yeah. But, you know, especially when I was in 9 to 5, I was earning some really great salaries.
But what are you bringing to the table? This is the question for the guy, I would imagine. What is he bringing to the table? But he should be able to bring a breadth of so many other things and not just cash. Like cash is whatever.
But it depends on what the woman cares about, because
Yes.
modern woman. I was in a clubhouse room the other day talking about this stuff, and I wasn't raised. I guess because my father wasn't around, for example, I wasn't raised with a man being a provider. That wasn't how I was raised. I'm quite independent. I take away the quite. I'm independent.
Yeah.
So my need isn't for a man to come and do everything for me. So I don't require a man to be earning more and buying all my stuff. I don't require that. I'm not saying don't. I'm not uncomfortable with the idea, but it's not a core requirement for me. You know?
Yeah.
But the man has to be comfortable with that. Because it works the other way around, right? Because where that's not important to me, a man who's not comfortable with that concept is uncomfortable with me not needing them in that way. They then feel not of value because I don't require that from you. So if what's important, you, the man, if what's important for you is providing for your woman, if that's what you think being a man is about, and that's what makes you feel good and big, and she don't need that, you're gonna feel like pants, right?
Is it hard to think about what the other person wants? Because in relationships in general, I think from my experience, I find it is harder to have compassion in the sense of how does this person receive love, or how does this person want me to behave towards them? So if you ever read the 5 Love Languages, great book, right? So my understanding from that was the biggest thing is how the other person wants to be loved or treated.
100%.
How does that person want to be treated, right? And that is super difficult because we think about ourselves. This is how I like to be treated, and this is how I like to treat my partner, and you should be okay with that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the problem is, isn't it? You should see what that person wants and then give them the thing that they want.
100%. But in the dynamic I just spoke about, me earning so much money that I don't need you to pay my electricity bill, or I don't need you to do all these things, I can't stop that unless I take a lower salary, for example, right? Which is ridiculous.
Of course.
So, I mean, if their love language is to provide financially, sure, buy me things, but they have to be okay that knowing that I can buy it myself. Right?
Yeah.
But I get your point, because it would be for me to allow them to show me love in a way that they find important, but also know that this is what I actually need you to do to show me love.
Yes.
Right?
You have to do both.
Right, because it's for me to show them love by allowing them to exist in that way, which I totally hear. But still, they have to be comfortable knowing that I can do that myself. That's what they have to know. Because I want money. I'm not going to quit my job because you're uncomfortable.
That's odd. Yeah, that wouldn't make sense at all. Okay, that's cool. I like that. That was cool. That was a nice way to wrap it up. Do you have a fuck it number? Like, if I had this money, I would just disappear. We're gonna leave it at that question. Do you have a fuck it number?
When you say disappear, what do you mean?
Just go off the grid, or just say. Just say I'm done. Like I don't have to do this anymore.
No.
Is there a number?
No.
Is there a number that you could?
No.
Someone offered you a certain amount of money for your businesses now.
That's a different question. That's a different question. Because it's a different question because linking to the first, it's about what you want out of life. I enjoy being in this space. Not necessarily going through my emails and talking to companies and trying to negotiate and no, sure, that's annoying. Yeah, it's long. Yeah? It's stressful. At times. But I still want to be in this space. The little nerd that I am, pushing psychology and money. Like, whatever that looks like. Whether that means going and working, not working, but affiliating with a university to do, I don't know, whatever, or existing in whatever. I want to be in that space because I care about it and I love to see what it can do. But money to take away the manual part that keep certain things alive, sure. I mean, what would that number be? Whatever would allow me to upgrade and have the next level in my life that I desire, maybe. I don't know what that number is, actually.
Okay.
I haven't thought of that number.
Okay. So you need to have a number for that specific thing. But you enjoy the space, so
yeah, I say
it
that.
it wouldn't retire you.
No, I don't think no. I mean, because my income right now, I guess technically, if I was going by what the cool people do, I'm financially free. But the income I generate, I don't have to actually do work to pay my living. So it would be, okay, what's the next level? What do I want to do? You know, so that would be the number maybe I need to think about. Because I'm actually at a point of being financially free already.
Okay. So then, have you thought about any future education?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when I went to do my masters, the plan was to do a PhD.
Okay.
Doing my masters was a lot. Hence why I ended up going to get diagnosed with ADHD and dyslexia, because of the struggles I was having. Be doing a PhD literally is like a yes and then no as the weeks go by.
Okay.
You know, it's a big thing to do, right? It would take me 3 years, I think, if I was to do it full time, and then it's a decision between, you know, I'm building this business. How does that fit in? Do I do it part time? I don't have time for that. My brain is like, no, I don't want to.
Yeah.
So yeah, PhD is on my list. But I'm always doing short courses, trying to upskill.
Also, why the PhD?
Back to what I said to you before: psychology, finance, the way that I think the world needs to shift.
But you said the blanket answer was because you want to read more. Just read more.
No,
like,
that was it. What?
You call me a plug like my name's Rodney. That's hilarious.
You said that I can swear, but it's still like, I'm like, no, it's recorded. I can't swear. Like, I swear for days at home. Yeah. No, not to read. It would be purely because I'm trying to move along the movement in terms of finance and psychology.
Okay.
And what it can
and you
do to
feel as going to school and someone saying now I'm a PhD, it would benefit what your work. Why? Why would it benefit your work?
No, not in that sense. So it would, and this is why I'm flitting between, because it would need to be, I'd need to be reading or studying or assessing, analysing, researching into a space that I think is required to move this thing further. So, for example, it would be partnering with some kind of social housing or government to figure out, or, you know, to move the agenda along. It wouldn't be just going away reading it at university.
Okay.
No. Hence why the week that it's a no. It's a no.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
Okay, I get that. Okay. So
and then Doctor looks cool.
Say again.
Dr. Krystle looks cool.
Of course, who doesn't want a doctor next to the name, right? So a couple of questions are like about your personal finance, like again. So, do you have automated budget? Do you have do you still have a budget? Do you still use the same budget that you used to use? Are things automated? How do you personally work your finances?
Yeah, definitely automated. I've got quite a few bank accounts. Lots of personal bank accounts. I've got my business bank account. I've got my property bank account. Automate it. Obviously, I pay myself and stuff, so got to sort that stuff out. As an accountant, I do my own finances at the moment as the company builds and give that off to somebody else. But that's bread and butter and quite easy for me to do. No, I don't have the same budget. That first budget, I still have it saved though. When I look back, I'm like, look at this little cute thing. That it's funny because when I bought my first property, I was teaching maths like crazy. I was making I think at least $1,000. Was it a month? Something like that. Something that was crazy back then. And when I look back at the spreadsheet, I'm like, oh my god, look at all the names and the amount of money they pay me every week, and I planned and forecast, and when am I going to save up my deposit? So automated and systemized.
Do you have a budget for fun? Things you do for fun? is that part of your budget? Is that baked in, or is it?
I do. I mean, yes, I have separate funds for free stuff. I mean, in my plans, you know, I build up my savings continuously. I allocate money over here, over there. So yeah, I have my fun money.
Yeah, fun money. That's good. I think that's important that everyone kind of has their fun money.
Totally, because
well.
it depend on what your fun is. You know, some fun is expensive.
Yeah.
You know, and you need to have a plan for what you're trying to achieve in terms of, you know, your personal goals, your life goals. You know, that needs to be clear, set in stone, automated. But whatever makes you feel fulfilled has to sometimes, you know, cost money. You put money aside for it.
And you said that you not really into brand names as such. So would you prefer like a generic names or brand names? And do you buy certain things brand names or certain things not? Or do you just go for the cheapest will do?
I like quality. So this is really embarrassing, but I'll share. For example, I love a Hobbs, which is it's for older women.
Hobbs.
So
I know this brand when you say Hobbs.
when you think of Hobbs, you think of old white women, basically, who are about 57 years old. And if there are any younger women that shop there and they're white, I'm sorry, I don't, you know, but you don't see me's in there. But they have great quality.
Okay.
It's not a name brand that anybody would know.
What type of things you buy from Hobbs?
Don't say it like that, Hobbs. Shoes. Their shoes are great, good quality. Like heeled shoes. Not cheap. Maybe the odd top. You know, some basics. I do spend a lot on my shoes when I buy proper shoes.
Okay.
But again, not a Gucci trainer or because I don't care about that. It's more a shoe that's gonna last, like my heeled boots, for example. I spend nearing £500 or whatever on a pair of boots because it's gonna last me a good 5-6 years.
Right.
And they look great.
Okay. So you do like certain things that are named because it's still a name, isn't it? Like, but would you buy something designer ever, or is that just not? Does that say the wrong thing about you if you were to use it or wear it, or it just doesn't interest you?
No.
Or it's.
I would. But again, for me, it's anchored in the quality. Like, you know, what is it made of? What does it feel like? You know, is a stitch? You know, like I don't buy at cheaper stores because I know it's going to last one wash, for example. So it's not about the name brand. It's more, does this item fulfill the need that I want it for? You know.
Good.
Yeah.
That's a good way to look at it.
Like if I want to buy, I went for a phase where I was loving a black shirt.
Okay.
Like I love a white crisp shirt. Like it's not even just smart work, but just a nice crisp white shirt, right? But I went for a phase where I liked a black shirt. I was like, yeah, black shirt. I just know it did something.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, Wear has a nice black shirt that's the shirt, you know? And it's not about it being a designer shirt. It's just, it does what I want it to do. It's the right quality. It's going to last the washes, you know?
Yeah, the washes is important, especially if you're Primarking on H&M.
I'm hearing these
as much
stories
as
about Primark.
as much as they're nice and whatever, like you know, you get the thing that you want. 1-2 washes sometimes.
It's mad. What was it? I think back in the day I used to shop in Mango.
Mango's
quality.
designer though, isn't it? But Mango's like, it's not designer, but it's like, I don't know, it's a name.
The quality's terrible. It used to be better.
Okay.
So I don't shop there. You know.
Okay.
Yeah. For example, there are certain stores where Zara quality is not very good. You know.
Certain things not that great. It's fast fashion, isn't it? Zara is fast fashion in it, so that they do.
And that's what I struggle with. Like, why am I paying for things that are just going to fall apart? And this is where, you know.
To buy another one.
Yeah.
That's the
So I
issue.
don't keep up with trends or anything like that because I don't care.
I get it.
And it's more fun to be a bit left sometimes.
A bit different. And class doesn't go out of fashion. If you buying something that's classy, it doesn't go out of fashion. Do you have any mood boards, or do you believe in vision boards? And how important that is that for you?
Yeah, big time. I think the first time I did it, years later I achieved everything but one, I think. Can't remember what the one was, at the 6-bedroom house.
Did you revisit it? Did you look at it often? Or did you, because you said you looked at it again?
I didn't look at it often as a regular task, no. I think I did it once back in 2011, or the first time in 2011. And I looked at it years later and was like, oh my God, I've done this, and it was quite amazing. I think actually it depends on where you are on the journey as to whether you need to revisit it. Because if you're doing a mood board or vision board for the first time and you don't really understand, or you haven't got that self-belief, but you're doing it because you know it's a good thing to do, then it might be that you need to reinforce that and build up that belief, exercise that muscle, so look at it regularly. But if you're someone that you're kind of got going with that momentum, like, yeah, I'm going to achieve this, I'm going to draw it up, and like, I don't need to look at it often.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a to-do list or a goal, and I need to remember that I'm working through that. But no, it's I have that vision board, and that's what I'm going to do. Cool. Let's get on.
Vision boards are interesting to me because a little bit fluffy.
You think?
When I say vision board and when I think of vision board, it comes across as fluffy. However,
woo. Is it woo-woo? Is that the phrase?
But however, they're really good. They're useful, and I think I have a similar experience to you of writing stuff down, but then also like forgetting about it for a while because I'm going on this journey. This is the journey that I've said. This is what I wanted, and then looking back and it's like I'm more than halfway through all of these things because you said you wanted them, and writing them down is important.
It is, and I remember one of my clients early when I just first started working with people one-on-one, and I said to her, what is it you want? Like, that's the kind of conversations we have at the beginning. What is it? What do you desire? Like, what's your dream? And she was so embarrassed. She'd never verbalized it, never written it down, never anything. She was like, oh, I can't say. So I had to say mine first, make her feel comfortable. I told her my plans and my dreams, and she was like, okay. And I was like, no, you. Unless you get it out of your head, it's not going to happen. You need to get it out. You need to get it out, speak it, write it, do it, research it. You need to take it out of your body to make it real in your everyday. Otherwise, it's just, it's just firing of stuff in your brain. So the vision board, I think, is part of that. Part of you getting it out of your head and seeing it on paper, seeing it written down. Maybe you dream to be a doctor. Seeing doctor whatever to see that, oh, look, my name can be written like that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So how do I do that?
And that is part of the switch sometimes. That's part of the switch we talked about earlier of going for the job that is the 50K or whatever it is you wanted. Sometimes it is just making it real by writing it down, which makes it real.
Yeah, and it makes it reality. So it's a bit like, when you're dreaming of, I don't know, buying a car or a certain car, you fixate, you see it all the time. You then notice it so much more. So if you've written down and you've thought about doing a certain thing, you're then more primed to notice opportunities that will get you there. And that's what happens subconsciously. Priming is a real thing. Yeah. Right? If there's been so many bits of research done on priming people, recall your national insurance number, and then something, I can't remember the study, but they're so linked. So if you put out of your mind onto paper, spoken the truth of X, Y, Z, you're then going to have that underneath everything you do, affecting everything you do. You'll then see that somebody works in a certain company, which is in line with, and you start walking that path.
Yeah, I believe that. Like I said, it does
seem... It is woo-woo.
Yeah, like airy-fairy, a bit fluffy, but unfortunately it works, so,
Just do it.
Yeah, just do it, right? Okay, cool. So, what would you like to be known for? I think that's a much better question. What would you, if you were to leave some type of legacy, I was asking myself this question today.
Oh, really?
And the reason why I was asking myself this question, because I've worked in the industry that I've worked in for quite a while. And when I'm gone, when I've passed away, that industry is really not going to care about me. They're not going to say, Ryan used to work here.
I felt that.
They're not going to care. So I shouldn't really be there. I should be doing something that that I can leave a mark on, somewhere where I can affect change and affect people's lives and actually do something for people, and that's where I feel I should be. So the question is, what would you like to leave? What would be the legacy? What would you like to achieve in that respect?
Thanks for the question. And I have an answer, but it's mostly going to come out really messy because I've not verbalised it since before I started this journey about 4 years ago, like properly. And I think I mentioned it today, and it is, I think, to be the person who changed, how do I get this out as a sentence? The sphere of financial literacy or financial skills, in that I made it more human. Actually, this is a plug. Humanized finance. That's
There
my
you go.
strap, right?
Yeah.
There we go.
There you go.
Humanized finance. Got
That's
there.
it. Yeah.
Humanized finance, and make that normal, because there are so many people who are afraid, struggling, embarrassed, all of these negative things, being crippled by the state of their finances, or crippled by how they feel about their finances, or like we spoke about, peer pressure and all this stuff. Because finance is this big, scary, horrible thing over in the corner. Nah, mate, just nah. We need to get to the human. Get to the human. Get to who you are, why you're, like, that's what I want to be known for. That person who did that. I don't see many people, anyone really doing that. And I can see how much it is with a little bit of work that I've done so far, how it's so impactful. I think that's it. I hope that wasn't messy.
No, that was excellent. That was a great answer, a really great answer. And I hope you achieved that. I really hope you achieved that. It's something that we need. It's something that we need in society. We need more of that. And any way that I can help in any way, shape or form, like, please, let's collab or whatever it is, feel free to kind of speak to me. But thank you so much for coming. Really enjoyed the conversation. Had a great time.
Good questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank
And hopefully
you.
we can do it again.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Everything discussed on this podcast is either my opinion or the opinion of my guest, and not to be taken as financial or investment advice. It's for entertainment and educational purposes only. I hope you enjoyed it. Every month we give away a free pack of cards, and all you have to do is subscribe to the channel. So please subscribe.